Internet outrage has destroyed the way we communicate. Everyone's angry, everyone's canceled, and nobody is allowed to think for themselves. So we're here to fix that. Welcome to Subtweet THIS.
Welcome back to another episode of Subtweet THIS. It's been a while, but we are back with an awesome episode for you. And today we have Arielle Scarcella. Hello, Arielle. Hello.
Welcome. We're gonna go right into it.
I wanted to have you on the show for several reasons. First of all, I recently have been made aware of you. You actually tagged me on Twitter one day, and I was like, who is this woman?
I found you in all your glory, and I was like, this girl needs to get big quick, because can we curse on your podcast?
Yes, curse as much as you want.
Okay. We're
not gonna get them monetized for this?
No, not for cursing, I don't think. No.
Yeah, no.
Well, the shit that you say
I'll edit it.
You can edit it.
Yeah,
the stuff that you say is important, it's relatable, and it's endearing because it's coming from a fellow woman that's also a minority like myself. So
yeah, I feel the same way about you. We're gonna get into that, but I feel like your message is one that needs to be promoted more, especially because you are someone who is in the LGBT, and I feel like people who have your line of thinking don't get as much love as people who are on the opposite end. But we'll get into that in just a second. So what I want to know first of all, let's do a roundtable introduction before we jump right into it. You guys go right ahead. Introduce yourselves.
All right. I'm Saul. I am the love interest of guys. Hey, it's been a while. Let's go. Okay. I know, right? There you go.
Yeah, we didn't get canceled. Everybody thought we got canceled, but
no, we're back.
I am. What am I supposed to say? I'm Della.
Whatever you want. Whatever your heart's desire.
What's going on?
I'm Della. I'm the fucking angry one. That's what I am.
That's true.
Okay. The angry one. Are you an Aries? What are you?
I'm an Aries.
I am an Aries. Why is
everybody
say that? Everybody says that. Like the minute they see me, like, you are Aries, right? I'm like, how do you get that? Like,
are you an Aries?
Yes, I am.
Oh, wait,
yeah, so Aries. That's how you know, because we know. Yeah.
Wait, hold on. We're not alike at all. Really.
No, you're not.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
But we are, because we question things and we just don't let things happen. Like somebody say X, we're like, but why?
Yeah.
That's what Aries do. Supposedly Aries question things. They want to challenge things. They don't just accept things. They want to challenge it.
And we're freaks too.
Oh,
and they're freaks.
Yep.
Whoa.
They are freaks.
Yep.
Listen,
Listen, this guy over here, Saul, got a comment on one of our past episodes asking, who's the guy that's above Gothics? And it was his camera. Oh, he's fine. Or so, like, I forgot what the comment was exactly. I said, ma'am?
Excuse me?
Because he light skinned. See? They
Shut
didn't
up.
recognize a fine dark.
Shut up.
All
right. So now that we got the intros out of the way, the first question that I have is, when did you start doing YouTube, and did your content go through any type of shift, or because you have like a variety of like culture, commentary, and politics? Like, tell us about that.
Yeah, my content, I just was filming a little bit about that today. I've been making videos for 11 years now. 11 years. Wow. So think about that. Like, I was one of the first LGBT YouTubers on the platform, which is why this is all specifically very hurtful. Like, that everybody's kind of against me at this point, you know?
Would you say like people from the LGBTQ community have been like, they just like changed their views on you?
They kept going further and further left, and I refused to go any further left than I had already been, because I found my little home, and that's where I'm staying, and that's where I believe, and my morals haven't changed. And I think, you know, my videos started out like very LGBT focused, like coming out of the closet, like basic stuff for kids. And it obviously, how many times are you going to talk about coming out of the closet? So I, worked more into body positivity, like actual body positivity. And then I later, the last 2-3 years, the last year, I would say the last year and a half, I started talking more about politics, because I feel like there's only 5 people that are outspoken Republicans or non-Democrats or centrist, moderates, anything other than the left. There's only like 5 of us that speak out against the crazy left ideas online that are in the gay community. And I think that's a shame because I know personally so many people message me every day, like other content creators with hundreds of thousands of followers, by the way, messaging me saying these people are crazy. Thank you for speaking out against them. And I'm like, thanks, but kind of no thanks, because it's like you're not helping anybody. If you just were to speak out even a little bit, I wouldn't get half of the hate that I get.
Do you feel like a lot of those content creators are afraid to speak up on certain things because it's just
100%, 100%.
If I speak, I would be lynched.
Yeah, like speaking out against the trans, I would say speaking out against the trans agenda or the gender ideology stuff is kind of, as a lesbian, I guess, is kind of similar to a Black conservative speaking out against Black Lives Matter, maybe, or the Democrats in that way. Like I think it's kind of similar. I could be wrong, but it's people are fearful. You know, me and Blair White, and there's maybe like I said, 5 of us that speak out against the craziness, and we call ourselves damage control. We're like the LGBT damage control, because these kids are fucking it up for the rest of us, and we didn't sign up for this kind of stuff. Like, we have our rights. Most gay rights and most trans rights are human rights at this moment, like in the world, in the United States, I should say. And this new, woke terminology, gender ideology is stuff that 85% of us did not sign up for. And it keeps going left and left and left. And we're like, now trans women that look like dudes, no offense, of course, because, they're trans women, but like are allowed in female sports and all these other crazy things and 97 genders. And it's like, how the hell did we get here? Like 3 years ago, we were still fighting. Well, not 3 years ago, I guess like 8 years ago, we were still fighting for gay marriage. And now there's 97 genders. How did we get from one thing to the next,
Well, you just brought up a good point. So you and your crew refer to yourselves as damage control.
And, 100%.
I remember seeing in one of your videos, you mentioned how the acceptance rate of the LGBT has been going down. So what are some of your opinions? Do you have insight on why that could be happening? Do you think it's because of the overly 80 million genders and like that type of stuff?
I think I talk about Blair an awful lot because she's a friend of mine, and I just think she's brilliant. She's a trans YouTuber, trans woman YouTuber. In her video this week, she actually said it better than I ever could. And I think the main difference between the gay rights movement and the trans rights or non-binary or queer, or this new LGBT movement, the main difference is gay people wanted to be assimilated in society. The trans activists want to deconstruct everything about society. And I don't think anybody really would want that. That isn't actually part of, that little cult that they have.
When you say deconstruct, what do you mean? Like,
they want to deconstruct the idea of sexual orientation. They want to deconstruct gender. There's no such thing as a man or a woman. It's only an identity. That kind of stuff.
So they don't want to compromise.
They don't want to compromise. No, they don't want to compromise. They want to instead of building things up, they're tearing things down. And like I said, most of us are not. Most of the older gays and lesbians and bisexual and even transsexual people, honestly, are not okay with this new movement. And the LGBT acceptance rate has been going down for the last 2-3 years. And people blame Trump, and I'm like, it's not Trump. Trust me, it is not Trump. It's these entitled little brats.
It's funny that you say that because with you said a lot of gay people, they would just want to just insert themselves and just go about their lives. And many older trans people, a lot of older trans people, they would say they just go about their regular day. But I feel like you said, the newer younger trans people, they're like, look, I'm trans, look at me, look at me. Perfect example, I don't know if you heard, with CD Projekt Red, it's the game Cyberpunk.
What? No, I don't know. What is it?
So
I don't know the game yet.
So it was a video game, the trans community said there wasn't enough trans representation in the game because you couldn't look at somebody and say and identify if they were trans or not. But actually in the game they did have a trans character, and she was a key character in the game.
Interesting. See, that's actually a transphobic thing to say. So they're going backwards on their words. If you say that you can't tell if somebody's trans, that's actually that's a transphobic statement, right? It's like you can't tell if somebody's lesbian. They're going.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
They're so woke. They're going backwards.
I mean, you can kind of say the same thing when we talk about like BLM and people calling Uncle Tom's and not black and all. It's just like that in itself. It's fucking.
Let's get rid of racism.
So
You're an
just-
Uncle Tom, by the
weird-
way.
It's weird.
Yeah,
like,
it
people that
literally-
go for it
literally.
hardcore are actually becoming the thing that they
Becoming
are against.
racists. Yeah.
It's
Uh-huh.
weird.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
I want to talk about because your most recent video, you spoke about the new glass ceiling put in place for women with this new executive order that
Biden, yeah.
Biden signs allowing trans athletes to compete with women as long as they identify and then go through the hormonal changes and stuff. That right there, when you made that video, automatically everybody from like the LGBTQ community was like, "She's a TERF." She's a
I've
TERF.
been labeled that for like 10 years now.
So
well, not 10 years, but
I
like
just
5
wanted-
years. I would say a good 5 years.
So I just want to know, like, how does that make you feel? And do you feel that that there's other women and like athletes, female athletes, who feel the same way, like this is a glass ceiling for me to break through, but they won't say anything because again, you have the woke mafia who will come around and just destroy them.
Yeah, I think 100%. I think there's a lot of people, a lot of young girls that are afraid to speak out. And the ones that do get trampled on, pun intended in this case. There was those three young black women, or two young black women, I think, in like Connecticut, that were on the track team, and they were being, forced to compete with biological males. And for me, I'm like more of a centrist, so I see both sides of the argument. What I tell people now, and if I were to talk to Biden and Kamala, shit, I don't know how to say her name, but like racism, but like
You're done. Now we're
did I
canceled.
say, I don't even know how to say it, but I think it's Kamala, right? I think I said it right this time.
Kamala
I don't
Harris.
know.
I don't know, whatever, bitch. But like, if I were to talk to them, I'd be like, listen, I understand that you're for, women's rights, but you're also for trans rights. The best way to go about something like that is to recognize why we have sex segregated spaces to begin with. Is it because of social implications, or is it because of safety? In regard, with bathroom stuff and changing rooms and stuff, it's safety stuff. And with sports, it's also a safety issue. If something like my friend Blair was in my friend Jacqueline's bridal shower, she's a trans woman. You think anyone gave two shits that a trans woman was in a bridal shower? No, because there's nothing to do with safety. Not that Blair's dangerous at all, but I'm just saying, it's a social thing. It's a social, cultural thing. Nobody cares. Now, when you have somebody like the It's Ma'am, the GameStop trans woman, whatever, you have somebody like that identifies as a woman that very well might be a trans woman that does have, mental, stuff going on there and gender dysphoria. But is it fair for that person to be competing against biological women? I would say no, because they've had testosterone running through their veins in their bodies for the last 30 years, For me, the issue is, it's not about being trans. It's about if that person has gone through male puberty or not, and how long they have been on testosterone. Does that make sense? I feel like
Yes.
that's,
Yeah, no.
if somebody, because I have personal experience with this. I played hockey against all boys. I was the only girl on the team up until I was 14, and the boys were already all bigger than I was, and I could still kind of hold my own, we did have padding, of course, but I got my ass beat every once in a while. And right when I turned 14, 15, I was like, okay, like, these kids are hitting puberty. I will literally possibly die if I keep playing this sport, because it was full contact. I got really hurt the last year I was playing too. I still have acid reflux because I had a hiatal hernia. And for real, I had a hiatal hernia because some kid hit me really hard. Yeah, so it became dangerous for me. I had to stop playing. So I know what testosterone does and how that changes. And when you're a boy and you're a boy and a girl, and up until about like I said, 13, 14, 15, all of a sudden guys start drastically getting bigger most of the time, right?
Right.
Actually kind of leads into like what my question is, just because most of the executive orders kind of affect more like colleges and high school with younger kids. So one thing I want to ask you is, like, what's your opinion on how society is educating the youth on the LGBT community? I know I've seen some articles within like Times Magazine where there's been clashes with teachers and students because there's some teachers that didn't want to address people by names or even their pronouns, and they're being asked to resign.
Jordan, I think that Jordan Peterson, I think you're talking about. I think that they're going too far, and that's coming from somebody that's in the gay community that did wish that there were more inclusive groups and more education, and still wishes there was more education on LGBT issues. But to the degree that they're going with this, I think it's kind of self-defeating. Like now they have this genderbread thing that they're showing like preschoolers. Did you see this article?
What?
I'll send you the article after. You could have it on the screen if you want.
Okay.
It's intense, and it's like it's like pushing it in people's faces. You know, there's no such thing as a tomboy anymore. Everybody's non-binary or genderqueer or whatever, and a lot of those terms, in my opinion, are actually sexist.
Why would you say they're sexist?
Because when you say you're non-binary and you're simply calling yourself non-binary because you don't fit into gender roles or gender stereotypes, you're saying exactly what a sexist statement is, that a man or a woman should be a very, very specific thing. And a man or a woman, male or female, could be anything. They don't have to be masculine. They don't have to be super feminine. They don't have to be super calming or super aggressive, you know? It's a sexist statement to assume that a woman or a man has to be a specific way in order to be a woman or a man. So if somebody is calling themselves non-binary because they have dysphoria and don't feel like they would feel comfortable completely in the other sex rather than the sex they are, I could get behind that because there's science behind that. But if it's just based on gender stereotypes, I think it's a sexist statement, a sexist idea.
Oh, I see what you mean.
What do you guys think? Am I making sense?
No,
it's a little tricky, but
that makes sense.
I just never heard of it like that.
Reverse.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. Like, I get what you're saying, and it's like, it falls into that. But at the same time, I like, I don't know. Like you again, like your statement made a lot of sense. And it's just like, I feel like I'm thinking like a psychopath now, because I feel like, you know, how people could manipulate and be like, well, we're trying to break down the walls of stereotypical things and roles. You know, like men don't have to be this way, women don't have to be this way. So that's why non-binary is for this way. You get what I'm saying?
But the thing is, the words for that already exist. You know,
That's something.
It's gender non-conforming. It's already a thing, like which every lesbian and gay man inadvertently is, because we don't conform to the gender expectations that society that society puts on us. I'm a woman that dates women. I don't follow gender constructs for that very reason. Am I non-binary? No.
You got a point. You got a point there.
Yeah.
You got a point there. I just
like
feel like
there are already words for this that exist. So for me, the word non-binary, it's just kind of, it's a pointless word unless it's partial gender dysphoria for me. And this does all matter, because a lot of people are like, why does it matter? Why do you care what people, you know, how people identify? It does matter because there are laws being created around it.
That's exactly
and it does affect us.
And I think that's a very key point, that because I have the same position as you do, in the sense that I like, if you want to identify as whatever, I don't care. But when it comes to making laws, that's where I feel like there's going to be some clashing, because the concept of non-binary, and even you know, with trans people, is that that's a specific ideology, and not everyone, trying to get the entire population on the same page to all simultaneously believe this thing is, to me, a pipe dream. You're not going to be able to convince people of that.
No, and a good way of looking at it, a good way of saying what you're saying is, that's not what self-ID really is. Self-ID is saying, I'm going to identify the way I identify, but what actually is happening is not self-ID. It's expecting everybody else to see and believe that how you see yourself, right?
Right.
That's not self-identification. That's everybody else changing the way they might possibly, like, I could look at your boyfriend and be like, I'm seeing a man, but he's telling me that he's a woman.
Right.
So I have to see him as a woman. Like, that doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
It's not reasonable.
It's not reasonable.
And from what from what I've noticed, I think that people get, you know, caught up in the idea of, well, you know, we want to be accepted, we want to be respected, and things like that. And I get that. But I also think that there's almost like this wall, a mental wall of, if you encounter someone that does not believe in non-binary or trans people, I think a lot of people will stop at that wall and say, well, this person is a piece of garbage, therefore, instead of realizing that not everyone in life is going to accept you. I get the comments that I get about me being demonic and looking like I'm some spawn from hell these days, now that I'm uploading
in the background.
Yeah. Oh, like, what's this demonic symbol in the background? The amount of crazy comments that I get, it's like, I have to deal with it. It is what it is. Not everyone is going to agree with how I present myself to the public, and I get that. But you also said one thing that made me think of this, is the fact that with the term non-binary, I remember being a tomboy and androgynous and things like that back in the day. And
there were already words for this.
There were already words. And it kind of makes it seem like the addition of these new words are ways to either, a checkbox, and then also to like look at me, I'm special, even though there's
to wave the wand of like you're special.
Yeah, it's so weird. Okay.
You think it really
and you know why it's happening,
how it all
right?
started.
Wait, why is it happening?
You're about to answer. Right?
It's all happening because people hate cis white straight people, so they're coming up with all these ways to not be cis straight and white. Honestly, you ever see? How many non-binary Black people do you see? I know exactly one person that calls themselves non-binary that's Black.
Same.
Most of them are very young teenagers that are white, that are honestly straight. Girls, a lot of them are born female, and have white guilt or cisgender guilt, I don't know, and they just want to be special, and it's like, if you already are special, you're a child of the universe. Stop looking for all these other reasons and just simply be who you are, because that's the only way that you can be special, is being your living your truth,
right?
Not pretending to be all these other things.
I saw somebody post that, like, I think they feel that a lot of people are starting to say that they're this gender or this pronoun to get rainbow points, because the LGBTQ will give them all this love and they get famous. And I feel like that like you said, we have words like androgynous, tomboy, masculine, and like all this.
But those
all
aren't oppression points. You can't get oppression points.
The thing is like, now this new generation, like, that's for the millennials. We need something for ourselves that stands out, because I am this. I need something that's going to fit me. I don't want to use androgynous because I don't feel androgynous, because androgynous, like, their brain starts ticking. The same people who say they don't want to have labels are putting labels on themselves.
Yep. They're creating new labels just with new words. they're taking the old label up, putting a new label on. It's the same thing.
I actually want to circle back around, because you mentioned something saying white guilt. White guilt.
100%. Yeah.
So I don't know if you saw that the video where it's some guy that said, like, if you're white, you're racist, you're oppressive.
Yes. Yeah, the guy I think he had glasses on, right?
Yeah.
It was on a TikTok video.
Yeah.
Did you do a review of it? I saw somebody was doing it.
So how do you feel about that? How do you feel like being a Caucasian woman? Do you identify as a woman? I just want to make sure I don't want to misidentify.
I'm a woman, but
okay.
I still have some.
What are you guys laughing? I'm being serious.
It's nothing. I'm just
ignore it.
Sorry.
Continue.
Go.
I was gonna say, I still have some lefty thoughts in my head. I'm like, I don't have the right to speak about this because I'm not a person of color. But it's like, all I know is that my own experience. I grew up in New York City, and it's like half of the people in my class were Black, starting from middle school. So I never like actively participated in racism. Like, does that make sense? Nobody cared in my class. Like, I helped the football team out, all the cheerleaders. We played all in the same sports teams. Like, there was never a second of me thinking somebody was less than because of their race. Like, in that way, racism, I don't feel like I've ever personally participated in it. But I know the guy is talking about systemic racism. That's like a whole other argument that I don't really know too much about it to, like to argue, a point. But there are a number of channels. I think Vanessa, didn't you do a video on it?
Not systemic
Like
racism.
debunking systemic. Not yet. Okay.
Not yet, but I might.
Not yet.
Okay. I'm excited to watch that.
It'll be a
I'm excited
2-minute
to watch
video,
that.
not
But
even.
so
I
have
just
you
be like, no. I mean, like, if
Have
anything,
you ever
I feel
felt-
like, well, hold on, I think
Oh, go
that
ahead. No,
you know,
no.
even like the guy that made the TikTok, to me, it's damaging the way that people even acting like that actually makes race relations worse.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
it's not.
I
it's
think
not-
that's true.
It's not
100%.
helping in any way. I'm sorry, no one's exempt. You can be racist to white people, black people. Yes,
Oh
you
yeah,
can be
like that's
racist
what
as well.
you and I are defining racism the same way. Yeah,
Yeah,
like you
so-
can look at somebody. Yeah, for sure. Systemic racism, that like whatever that means, if that's even a thing, it's another argument. But 100%, just like gay people, you know, they say gay people can't be hateful. Like there are gay people that are heterophobic, literally. Like, well, did you see the tweet that was going around recently? It was like gay people and trans people came up with these new slurs to call straight people.
No.
And it was
Yeah,
like
I
it was
see
like
that.
it was like straggot instead of faggot.
Yeah,
It's like
so
straight person.
I've seen this. It's like this whole thing with now like like the
They call
heteros
everybody
are at it
sissies.
again. The
Like,
heteros
sissies,
are at
like-
it again. It's becoming like people who were bullied are now becoming the new bullies, and you
Oh, yeah.
can't say anything back against them because then you'll be killed. So
Yeah,
like
but that was the turning point for me. When I saw them starting to become bullies, I was like, that's not who I am. And I recognized that, I would say, the past 5 years. Once I started talking about trans issues, of course, like that's when they started coming for me because I was leaving my lane. Even though trans issues are everybody's issues because you're redefining what a man and a woman is, that affects everybody. Yeah, as soon as I started leaving my lane, so to speak, I was getting attacked from like all sides. And from lesbians too, you know, from everybody. And I was like, this is not healthy. Like, I don't want to be on a side, you know, I don't want to be on, quote, you know, pun intended, the not right side of history.
Right.
I don't want to be on that side. I want to be on the side where there's compassion and understanding. And at least, even if you don't understand, you can respect it. Because nobody's going to understand that I'm gay unless you're gay yourself, but they can respect it. And I don't feel respected in that community anymore. Like, it's gotten to the point where I literally have in my notes, I have like video ideas. I'm sure you guys do too. But I have a video idea that says going into safe spaces to see if I feel safe.
Ooh, that's
Like
a good one.
I want to do a video during Gay Pride Month and go in like with like a you know camera, and like my friend maybe will like follow me or something with a GoPro, and you know hide it and see like with a Trump hat or something or something like or something, and just see if like it's actually a safe space. Like, is it really, or is it a political space? And if it is, that's fine, but say it. Don't say it's a queer safe space when it's not.
I don't know if it's gonna be a safe space for you because
It's
people
not.
are still very.
Oh, it's not. That's the whole point. That's why the
You
video will
gotta
do
make
really
sure
well,
your
hopefully.
friend is like fucking 6'8", 200-pound muscle.
I'm gonna
black guy
film it in Florida.
that-
I'm gonna have my friends have guns. They're all packed.
That
So
I don't know because
Actually-
that is like
I actually wanted to ask about that. If there was a specific event or situation that kind of made you get out of that lane, because I went on a rabbit hole of looking at your content, and even just searching your name, I noticed just.
oh god, she's transphobic. She's a
Yeah,
I get
and
it.
the
I
thing
know.
is, like,
Bad.
it reminds me of Nessa, because ever since Nessa started
Yeah.
expressing different views, we just
Yep.
you had like your ex friends just announcing that they're not friends with you. I can't stand
Yep.
that shit. First of all, I
Yep.
think I
It's
hate it so much.
It's a pussy thing to do. in my opinion.
It is. It really
The
is.
pussy thing,
And
yeah.
so when I was just like, just seeing all these along with watching like your content, was there like a specific event or anything that happened that kind of you were just like, nah, like I'm not with it now, and you wanted to get out your lane, or you just noticed it as like a trend?
It was just time, and it just kept happening. It just kept happening. Like, it's like you're playing Frogger and you just kept getting hit, and you keep going back to the start line, and you keep going, and then you get hit again, and you keep going back. And it's like, I have to go to the other side eventually. I'm gonna get hit a bunch of times by the cars, whatever, but eventually I made it across, and I get less shit now because I'm on the other side. It's like the whole saying, the left eats their own. It's true.
Yes.
It's
You're not
true.
like a
It's
left-leaning
true.
centrist anymore, because I saw that video, you took that test, it said left-leaning centrist. Would you say that's skewed a little bit more now?
I think it depends on the issue. Like, I'm always going to be pro-choice. Like, we would have to get into
Yeah, it has to be like
specifics.
different issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get
Yeah,
you.
it has to be the different issues. As far as government is concerned, I'm definitely more leaning Republican. I think it's better for the government to have less control. I mean, look at the shit that they do, and they didn't even have much control when Trump was in office, and they pulled all this shit. So I don't trust them to have more control over our lives.
so. With that being said, has that affected your love life? You coming at saying that I'm a
Oh
Republican?
I'm so glad you brought up this question. I haven't talked about this on my channel yet. And I feel like if I make a video, people will be like, you're victimizing yourself. And maybe I am. Like, whatever. I've been single for 3 years. Let me live my life and be upset at some things. Oh yeah, like I have a friend, my friend Brooke. She's a really good friend of mine. She's a Scorpio. I think she's actually with her girlfriend now. They're back together. But her girlfriend like would keep breaking up with her because she was a Republican, and like told her straight up, like, you know, my family's in, like, I'm embarrassed to bring you around my friends and family because you're a Republican. Like crazy
Wow.
shit. And I haven't gotten to that, you know, I haven't gotten to that far yet. But I've been on dating apps where people have matched with me, and then I message them, and then I'm assuming they probably looked my name up, like to see if I was a real person or whatever, or saw that I was verified, and then been like, okay, like who's this girl? Because I do that shit too. I'm like, is this person real? Let me see what they're about, and let me look at their Instagram page, and then they find out who I am, and they're like, you're a Trump supporter, you're racist, you're that, you're this, and it's like they unmatch, and I'm like, oh god, like here we go again. Time and time again, it happens on. I'm banned on Tinder. That's a whole other story. I don't even know why.
Wait, what?
I'm banned from
get
Tinder.
banned on there?
I don't even know, girl. Like apparently from I think they thought that I was impersonating myself. So that's a thing. That's a thing that happens. It happened to one of my friends that was on 90 Day Fiance.
Wait, your
And
friend was on 90 Day Fiance?
you know what? That's another thing. I don't think we're
let's-
friends anymore. We're not
let's-
friends
let's
anymore.
talk
She like
about
blocked
that.
me on
Right.
Twitter. She blocked me on Facebook and everything. She blocked my number. I can't even text her. All because I think all because I'm a Trump supporter. But that doesn't mean I support everything he does, of course, right? But I
Yeah,
support a lot of his. I supported a lot of his policies. Yeah, and a lot of people will say that, you know, I know Nessa probably gets like being called a grifter as well, right?
Oh, all
You
the
probably
time.
get called that all the fucking time.
All the time.
And it's like, if you really look at my content, I've always been controversial.
Right.
It's not like a sudden thing. It's just that people happen to come across me when that one controversial video went viral ish, and it had like 2 million views in like 5 days on Twitter or something, which for me got J.K. Rowling to follow me and Rob Schneider, so that's
Yay!
cool.
Rob Schneider.
Yeah, he follows me on Twitter.
That's pretty
He's
dope.
an awesome guy. Yeah. He's a Republican. He thinks these people, the Democrats, are crazy right now, and he's fairly liberal. Like like all of us, we're liberal-minded people. We're classic liberals, right? Like we believe in freedom of speech and freedom of expression, and you know, but get the hell away from my rights, type of thing.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know what category I fall into. I hate the government.
Bro, you hate everyone.
You hate everything. You're not even in
said
a
everything
category.
down. Like that's your solution.
He has his own category. You should make your own. You make your own. What was it? The birthday party? Kanye West. You need to make your own political party.
Come and eat cake.
Make your own party. The birthday party. I can't.
So for 3 years. So do you feel like, you know, you go on these dating websites, you got Plenty of Fish, Tinder, Humble, the Hookup, whatever, and like
Yeah,
people
I think
see
I'm
you,
on Hinge and Bumble because Tinder banned me, so I'm just on 2
people
of them.
see you and they go, "Oh, she's cute. Hey, who did you vote for in the 2020
Not even. They
election?"
have it in their bios. Go look on Twitter. I posted it the other day, and I was like, "This is why I'm single," because somebody in their bio, like on their Bumble profile, was like, you know how it says like swipe right if,
Yeah.
and then it'll say something. It is not like so many of these people like swipe left if you're a Trump supporter, or swipe right if you're not a Trump supporter, or something like that, or if you're whatever. And I'm like, and I'll swipe right just to be a dick, and then I'll match with them, and I'll be like, voted for Trump.
Oh.
And I like troll them, and then I'm like, and like 2 seconds later, it's like unmatched. I'm like, yep, that's why I'm single, but not really, obviously. But it's funny, like it's these virtues, like people have Black Lives Matter in their dating profiles.
Ew.
This is a dating profile. Why do you have Black Lives Matter in your profile?
Ew.
Trans Lives Matter.
You
Like,
know-
okay,
you know-
that's great, but like, I'm here to try to find a wife. Like, I'm not trying to, talk about transgender rights every 5 seconds of the day.
But like I feel like when I see like some white women put Black Lives Matter, and I was like, so are you dating a black guy? Are you dating somebody black, or are you dating a white person? Oh, I'm dating somebody white. So you sit there and say white people are the root of all evil, but yet you continue to be with them. And I, like you get what I'm saying? Like there's like, oh,
I see what you're
cis white
saying.
men,
Yeah.
cis white men suck. Okay, but who are you dating? Are you dating a gay white man, or which kind of
Yeah.
like?
Exactly. But this is
So
my
you-
point. This is why so many of them are identifying out of those labels. Like everything is just an identity now. So all of a sudden,
so it's
like
a
all these people that
loophole.
are You understand what I'm
It's a
saying?
loophole.
Like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm
it's a
not.
loophole.
I'm the most hated person, so I'm not. I'm no longer a cis straight white man.
So it's
Right.
I'm a
rooted to
non-binary, a
race
genderqueer.
somehow too. So it's just like, because now I see that as like the number one enemy.
The
is, like,
transracial shit. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, when you were just saying like everyone's making up labels to stay out of like the cis white male thing. So it's like
Right.
anything to stay out of these labels.
Anything,
rooted in,
anything.
like racial. Right?
Yeah.
Everything is a lot
I
more.
think they'll
interracial
definitely
now.
add race into it if they can, which is why Kamala was like calling herself Indian. What was one? Not her. What was it?
Oh,
What was one of
it
the
was
Democratic person?
Warren. She was named
Well,
Yeah,
Elizabeth
she's
Warren.
just
Yeah,
Spanish
Elizabeth
or
Warren was
something?
like, "Oh, I'm
She's Native
American
American.
Indian,
Yeah.
Native American. Get the hell out of here! You're fucking
Oh,
white."
yeah.
Like, and
She's
it's like, okay, maybe you are, but like, clearly
Is
you're
trans-
adding this in for virtue.
is transracial a thing yet?
It is a
Transrace?
thing.
Yeah.
It is a thing. Blair White
I thought
covers
it
it
was
on
a-
her channel. Yeah.
I thought it was a meme. I
So-
really thought it was a meme.
No, it's a
Wow.
thing.
To be
That's the thing.
clear, that means
Yeah.
what exactly?
Transracial,
white. I'm a white man.
supposedly,
I'm a white
supposedly,
man.
yeah, it's supposedly
Your
somebody
dreams
that
have been
identifies as a
answered.
different race.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you
It's wild.
okay.
Winning.
Yeah.
I
there's a
guess
guy-
Michael Jackson would be transracial.
Hey,
Wow.
Maybe.
There was a white guy who was putting his
Inside
skin
of him.
black, and he
Yeah.
was putting it, and he was even talking more ghetto and everything. He did like a little
Which is
docu
actual
on it.
racist,
This
right?
is
It's actually
racist.
racist.
It's actually
Wait,
racist.
remember
It's
that
just like,
woman?
It's saying black people all talk that way. I'm gonna be
yeah,
black.
There's a
and
people
woman
he,
who
talk
did
way.
that.
he yelled at a black woman for going out with a white man, and he himself is a white man acting
He's
like
white.
a black. It's fucking weird. But
No,
yeah,
no,
The
you
first
know
thing that
it's-
comes to mind is Rachel Dolezal, which
Yeah,
was
her.
the white woman. Yeah, I mean that's the one that everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
she
wild.
It's
and
like,
she
alright.
went to like Africa and everything. And like she's like I'm done.
Did
I'm not
she?
white. Yeah, she's like she moved to
She
Africa.
really,
like,
yeah, I think that's just mental
she's
illness.
like,
I mean,
she's
it's all kind of
done.
mental illness, right? But at least there's science that backs up trans stuff.
Oh,
Listen,
That
if you
proves,
wanna-
yeah.
put it like this. If you want to be whatever you want to be, there's the world. America gives people the freedom to do that shit.
just can't
America
expect
Yeah,
gives
don't
people
expect
too much
everyone
fucking
else
freedom.
to adopt to it. That's
That's it. You want to
Exactly. That's the difference between self ID and imposing yourself
Yeah.
on others, which is why Jordan Peterson, which is one of you were talking about at the beginning of the stream. That's the real reason why I think he refuses to call people by their preferred pronouns.
Mhm.
I think it's because he knows that it's a slippery slope, not because he doesn't want to be nice.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a mean guy. No,
No.
I don't think any. I think most people, if they didn't think this was going to lead to something crazy, which it already has, right? It's restricting our freedom of speech. I think most people would call somebody by their preferred pronouns as long as they weren't too crazy.
I
you know?
think so. I think that's a reasonable.
Yeah,
Theory,
it's like I'm not
but-
going to call you something you don't want to be called. Like that's reasonable, but when you get to the point where you're finding people, you know, because I think the rule, what was it, Bill C-16 or whatever it was in Canada.
in Canada, yeah, that you
Mhm.
would get,
Crazy.
you would get fined,
Yeah.
or was there even
Yep,
jail? No,
something, yeah, just for
Yeah.
misgendering somebody.
And you
Yeah.
have
And
like
it's like,
you
what?
know, Twitter and
Yeah.
their terms of service. You know, you can get banned if you misgender someone because that's embedded in
you
their terms
fucking-
of service.
Are you
Yes.
fucking serious?
Oh, you didn't know that?
Nope, she was serious. Yep.
No.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's how.
You
that's
remember
how
when
Jordan
Zuby
Peterson
called
did.
somebody dude and he got banned for a little while?
Yeah.
Dude is-
Remember, you know who Zuby is? Yeah.
Yeah.
But dude is
He's a guy
dude
from
is,
the
like,
UK,
gender
yeah.
neutral.
Oh yeah, we love Zuby. Yeah.
Dude is a gender neutral
That's
thing.
exactly.
I feel.
That's what
It is,
I-
but that's how ridiculous it is these days. Yeah, he's I forget where he's from. I think he's actually from the States, but he lives in the UK now. And
He's a
he's black,
rapper,
and
right?
he's a rapper. I love him, and he has like a T-shirt that he sells that says "Okay, dude," because that's what got him suspended from Twitter for like a week or something for responding to somebody saying "Okay, dude." He didn't even know the gender of the person. Like half the time, these people are avatars, like
Yeah,
the
right,
cartoon
like an
avatars. Like, how
anime
the hell am I
avatar.
supposed to know? Like half the time, it's not even like we're trying to misgender them. We don't even know.
He got in trouble
So
for
if-
doing the deadlift record. He's like, I identify.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
my God,
yeah,
that's the
yeah,
one he
that-
went viral for, and it's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Like if you look at Biden's presidential executive order, the executive order, whatever it's called, it's written. The reason I have an issue with it is because it's written too vaguely. It says protection based on gender identity. It doesn't say protection based on gender identity, you know, with extra steps, meaning like, okay, this person went on hormones, or they legally changed their name, or they legally changed their driver's license, or they had surgeries, or no, it just says gender identity. I could just walk around calling myself a boy and be placed into you
I-
know, men's
I think
sports and
you have
stuff
to-
like that, which would never happen because women aren't stupid like that.
If I'm not mistaken, I think you have to go through the hormone treatment to prove that you were, because this was spoken about like way back. I know like a British talk show spoke about it, that you have to identify as a female, and you have to be going through the hormone treatment too. So you have to
That's
show.
different.
So
That's different. From
I
from
think
what
the
I read on the
executive,
website, yeah, the executive order on the website just said protection based on sexual orientation and gender identity. It was too vague. That's just from straight up the website. I don't know what the actual executive
yeah,
order said, but
yeah.
from
There's
I didn't
probably
see it. I don't have it in my hand. But the
yeah.
website was too vague.
They probably there's
Yeah.
they probably have that embedded in there somewhere. But
Yeah.
circling back to what you said, like, with misgendering somebody.
Mhm.
In the workforce, like, they talk about that now. Like, you gotta be, you have to make sure you identify somebody by their proper gender. But the thing
Mhm.
is, you cannot ask that person what's their pronouns.
Yeah,
You
because
can't
it's
ask
considered
them.
offensive, right?
So I sat there, I asked the HR lady, I'm like, so what do I do? She's like,
You have
she's
to
like,
ask them their name, and then they might have a gender neutral name, and you're like, ah, shit. Like,
so
I can't even
she said when they feel like telling you, they will tell you. So I would see, so it's like, what the hell? Is like, I can't ask them in a respectful way, like, excuse me, like, I just want to be sure, like, what do you identify as, like, what pronoun should I use so I don't misgender you? She said,
Right.
no, you can't say that. You can't ask that. That's a it's
It's
like,
unreasonable.
so I'm just
It's
gonna
not
sit here
reasonable.
and go, yes, human,
Yeah.
Basically.
yes. And if they say, oh, I don't identify as a human, I'm already fine. I'm fired then.
You're done.
Yeah.
Because
Just
people,
trans. What is it? Trans species.
no, it's other kin. It's other kin.
other kin, right?
Other kin.
Yeah, it's a thing.
So it's like, I feel like we're in a lose-lose situation. I made a Twitter post saying, in the year 2030, words are banned.
Yeah.
We just communicate
Yeah.
with pictures and symbols. Because if you think about it, every day you turn around, this word is banned. This word is ableist. This word is problematic. This word is this. It's like, so just don't fucking talk anymore then. The word
Right.
fuck is gonna get banned eventually.
Right.
Because somebody's gonna say, oh, it perpetuates
Patriarchy.
or
Technically, it perpetuates patriarchy. Do you know why?
Why?
You know what? Do you know
boy.
how the word?
This-
Do you know what the word fuck? Where the word fuck derived from?
Do you have a hat?
Tell
Do you
me.
have one of these hats? Do you have one of these hats? Because I feel it's about to get really.
What is that?
Woke in
A bucket hat?
It's about to get really woke.
What is that?
That's his woke hat.
Oh,
You
woke
never
hat.
seen these
No.
hats? You never seen these?
No, I've never seen
She
it.
can't own
Oh.
one of those. She'd be called racist. That's not allowed.
Yes, she can. No, she can identify
What
as
is
the fuck
it?
you want.
Is it like an African hat or something?
Yeah,
or like
yeah.
is that what it? Oh, like the weave hats. Those are cool.
Yeah.
No, from what I understand, it derived from, like, I think the British king or French kings or some shit. Because remember how years ago, in order to marry somebody, or in order to have sex with somebody, you had to be married to them, and you had to get permission from the king.
Mhm.
So I'm pretty sure it means fornication under consent of the king.
Oh,
So it is patriarchy.
wow.
Yo, you
I
just
could be
blew
wrong.
my mind.
I could be wrong, but like, who cares? It's my favorite word in the whole world.
Yo,
Fuck, fuck,
it's
fuck.
gonna get banned now. As
I
somebody's
love
gonna
it.
watch this
but that's
podcast,
I love that
hilarious.
word.
Imagine approaching the king. Ayo, king.
Can I fuck?
Can I hit this?
Can I hit it?
May
Can I hit
I
it?
fornicate?
Can I hit it?
All right, yeah.
Fornicate.
You get the
Yeah.
official fuck certificate. Like,
I-
here's your
look
fuck
it- I-
certificate.
Yeah, look it up. I don't know if
I
that's
am
like
going to.
completely factual, but
I need
it does
to.
make sense.
What you just did now, one of these woke assholes is gonna watch this video and be like, I got it.
I'm gonna use
I
that
know what
argument
I'm
now.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
gonna use the
gonna use
argument.
it.
And then you go see the post, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
have
it's like a sociopath that goes to therapy and they
Yeah.
learn how to become a better sociopath. Yeah, I know.
it's really crazy. Like, every word.
It just
is
means we could create a video
wrong.
about it. That's all.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
So I got a question. I would like to know, what was more difficult for you, coming out of the closet or being open about your politics?
ooh.
I just answered that question in a video for my friend that I filmed today, and I have a really good answer. I never got hated on for being gay, ever, until I came out as a more conservative gay, which is funny because the word conservative now, in this political climate, the word conservative is actually the people that identify as conservative are actually more traditionally liberal people. And I noticed that these quote conservative people are actually classic liberals, just with a new title, with a different title. So I know that people are gonna, call me transphobic, biphobic, homophobic, racist, whatever the hell they want to say. My morals haven't changed. Just the word that is the umbrella term for the group that I fall under has changed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If they change the word lesbian tomorrow, I'm still gonna be a lesbian. Like I still like women, and I'm still a woman. I still have the same exact beliefs that I always had, but the word liberal means something very different today than it did 10 years ago. Honestly, I think it's bad PR. The word conservative sounds scary.
It does.
And it does. And this is only up until like last year. Like I went and hung out with these 3 conservative guys from like one of the dudes is from like Alabama, and I was like, oh my god, this guy's gonna like and he's like the sweetest dude. He's like this little chubby little little redneck guy, super cute, super sweet, and I remember we were filming the video about gun rights and why I now, especially since I moved to Florida, I kind of understand, because New Yorkers, we don't think about guns. Florida, you're like, oh, guns. And when I spoke to him and the guy Rogan and my friend David now, who's a really good friend of mine, he's a gay guy, the other 2 are straight guys. When I like gave them an hour of my time, my thoughts changed about the conservative party, changed like that. It doesn't take that long. You just have to sit there and listen to what people are saying.
So
They were like, I was like, do you hate gay people? They were like, no, we don't hate gay people. We want gay people. It was like a famous, like a meme. It's like, we want gay people to own guns to protect their marijuana farms or something like that. Like it's some kind of like a meme that they always say, whatever, because it's like the new version of conservative is actually the old version of liberal. And the new progressivism is actually kind of the old way of conservative. It's like no freedom of speech. You have to think and act a certain way. Controlling women's bodies. It's just a lot of, forcing women to do things they don't want to do, that kind of shit. And it's like, man.
You make a good point, because now that I've started uploading content on YouTube, there's so many people that refer to me as conservative, and I just generally don't like labels anyway, because I feel like the second you put a label, people expect you to adhere to that label to a T. But
Right.
When I was first referred to as conservative, I was just like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, I'm not conservative, So
Just because you're anti-left.
yeah, and
You're not left, you're right.
And what I asked
Exactly.
you about,
They want non-binary, but they're making everything else binary in the world. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what I
Makes
asked
sense.
you about whether you're more accepted, whether it was harder for you to come out versus being open about your politics, I think what you said is a very important thing that people need to pay attention to, because I've asked other LGBT folks that are not on the left the same thing, and consistently, time after time, they will tell me that me being open about my politics is harder than me actually coming out.
100%.
And
Yeah.
and the same thing with me, all this talk about racism and systemic racism and white supremacy and all that, I have never experienced racism until I was open about my politics.
Yeah, Rob Smith said the same. My friend Rob Smith, he's a gay black guy, and he said
Rob
the same
Smith.
exact thing.
He's dope.
Oh, you know him? I love him. He's a sweetie pie. He's so sweet. Yeah, he's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He said the same thing. He's like, he never got hate for being gay, until just hate in general, really, for being gay or black or whatever, until he switched parties, because he voted for Bernie in the first election, I think it was in 2016, and then I guess he voted for Hillary. Because I just know he didn't vote for Trump, and then he became like an avid Trump supporter. He was also in the military. He actually stood for Don't Ask, Don't Tell. Like, he was not standing for it, rather. He was fighting against it. He was there, like, he got arrested, He was at the courthouses and stuff like that. So he protested and like legit stuff. He was in the army, and he realized like these, he realized that he didn't believe what these people were preaching anymore. And he left the left, and he said he lost all his friends. I would say real life friends, maybe like 2. Internet friends, I would say like hundreds. Hundreds. To this day, whenever I tweet something controversial, it's gonna sound so petty, but like whatever. I'm a Cancerian, we're petty bitches. So like I'll go on my Twitter and I'll check who unfollowed me. Because I know that people are gonna do it.
Yeah.
Because that's and I'm not gonna support somebody that's not supporting me. It's that simple. And I don't know if that's petty. I feel like that's just like self-preservation, maybe. Well, but I just know it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen because people on that side cannot handle somebody with a different opinion.
If anything, they keep tabs on you, because when I was going down the rabbit
They do.
hole, I was like, these people, they said they're not your friends, but then they're like, we're going to react to her tweets. We're going to react to her videos. I'm like, bro,
Yep.
like you've already
Those are all-
established
those
you
are-
don't like this
yeah.
person, just move on.
There's
No, we're
nothing
gonna
else
react
for
to
them
their
to
tweets
do.
today. We're gonna react to
Well, they know
videos.
the
It's
video
like their
gets views when they
content
hate
is-
on me.
Yeah, like
right.
their
Yeah.
content is basically your content.
Right.
Using your content as their
They
content.
want to
I'm
see
just
you.
like-
They want to see you fail.
I was just shocked seeing that. I'm just like,
I feel like we can relate a lot on that topic because I went through the same thing. Personal friends, a few, because most of my personal friends don't really engage with any of this SJW wokeness. Like they don't do that.
Right.
But like internet, oh my God. Like the second I said, hey, I'm voting for Trump, you would have thought I slaughtered people's families the way that people were treating me. And it was the same thing where it's just like, I'm not talking to Gothics ever again, but they would keep tabs on my content. They'd make commentary about my content and you know, and go out of their way to interject their opinions when they already said they don't want anything to do with me. So it's one of those things like it's a stage 5 clinger. I don't know why they're like that. It's a little bit concerning.
Well, you said it best before, how, you know, the more conservatives are about building things and more progressives are about tearing things down. So when they don't like what we're doing, they try to tear us down instead of building their own stuff.
Do you feel like in 4 years from now, 8 years from now, I don't know, the same people who abandoned you because you voted for Trump are still going to just be like, I'll never forget what she did. She voted Republican. She voted not just any Republican, but she voted for Trump. Or do you feel like it's just like no matter what, no matter who's in the office, like whoever's the Republican candidate, it was just like Republicans are just the worst people in the world because they're all this, and that. Because I remember growing up when there was the whole Bush Al Gore thing, one of my teachers who I keep in contact with to this day, she literally sat down and wrote all the horrible things about George Bush. She's like, he says he's against abortions, but he had like he signed off on abortions for some girl and everything. And she said, if this man wins, we're all gonna wear black armbands as a protest. I was like, I'm in junior high school. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
That's not the
This
job
was
of a
English.
teacher. The job of a teacher is to educate and then allow kids to make their own decisions for themselves.
But
Yeah.
I remember just speaking of that, I just was like, that's the mindset I had in my head. Like Republican is bad. Republican is just bad.
And you're also a New Yorker, so I grew up the same way. I grew up, and I didn't even know why I thought that, but I thought that for a long time.
Yeah, it's just.
It's a New Yorker. New Yorkers are Democrats. Like, I don't know why. We're just taught to be that way. Like,
So do you think,
especially if you're gay, right? Or a minority.
So do you think
or a minority,
down the line, is like
I think
8 years from now, you're still gonna be the demon of the world? You too, Vanessa, or are you gonna both be
that's a
the
good
most
question.
evilest people?
I think it depends on how much internal self work they do. Because if they get out of their own asses and learn to look at facts and stop hating on people that simply are disagreeing with them and realize that the world's not against them, I think that they will, quote, wake up in the way that I did. But also a lot of them are very young and very angry people.
Yeah.
And I think the younger they are, the longer it's going to take them to wake up. And I think some people are already waking up, you know, thanks to the few of us that are speaking out. But they're not speaking out publicly. They're speaking.
Yeah.
That's what it is. A lot more of us are awake than it seems, but none of them are speaking out publicly about it yet.
I think like you said, people aren't speaking out publicly, and I think when people wonder, are more folks going to wake up? Are they going to snap out of it? I think that is dependent on if they're going to be able to have that self-reflection, and I would say it would be helpful for more people to use their platforms to push back on that narrative, because until there's more people speaking up, there's strength in numbers. And I think until there's more people speaking up, it's just going to remain the same way it is, because the problem that I find is not only are the majority of people that act like this, I find them to be younger. I also find them to be they've grown so comfortable living in an echo chamber and not having someone say, hey, I disagree with you. It's just been, no, only want to talk to people who agree with me. And after doing that for so many years, you've kind of just conditioned yourself to not entertain.
There's no growth.
There's no growth. It's just
mentally be weak.
I would say that too. It's like you want everyone to be a yes ma'am, a yes sir, no disagreements. Everyone think the same. And the thing that the other thing that that I thought would help is one of the reasons that I started making content on YouTube is because I started to see the demonization of people that voted for Trump. Oh, if you voted for Trump, you're a racist, you're a bigot, you're a white supremacist. Sure, you can have white supremacists and racists anywhere. It doesn't matter who you vote for. But one of the reasons I decided to start making content was to put a black face to this idea that anybody that votes for Trump is a racist or is a white supremacist.
I was gonna say I don't think you know how important it is, but I think you do. And I think that's why you keep making. You know now, it's so because I know you. I know for sure that you get probably even more messages than I do because there's more black people than there are gays, right? So it's like we're just people of color that. I think so.
Wait a minute.
I would argue.
I want to see these numbers.
They said 1/10 of the population, or is the black population less than 1/10?
Oh, I have no idea. That's math.
I don't know.
But what I'm saying,
you don't know math.
Like,
you see who you are.
Shut up. Like and the thing is even when I come out and say, okay, I voted for Trump, I am black, so now give me another argument. Then the argument is, oh, well, clearly you are self-hating.
You're self-hating. You're
self-hating.
You're anti-trans. You're internalized sexism. It's like, so how about no?
There was because me and her did a little collab on a video, which we're gonna do a collab on my channel too. But when she published her video, there were people in the comments talking about, oh, she's a TERF. And I asked some of them, I said, why would you call her a TERF? Why? And their reasonings made it seem like trans people aren't capable of having the same position as you. So I asked them, I said, okay, but there are trans people out there that think the same thing that she does. Yeah. So what would you call them? Oh, well, they have internal hatred. What?
Yeah. That's what they say. Yep. That's what they say to Blair. Yep. Internalized transphobia.
It's like if you're black and you don't vote Democrat.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, then you ain't black then.
You ain't black.
Yeah.
I would hope
exactly
that
what
these people would have some self-reflection at some point to realize that projection of just like, no, I think you have self-hatred. You couldn't possibly have an informed, logical reason for why you're thinking the way that you do. I think until they let that barrier down, there's not going to be any self-reflection. So I'm hoping that more people become emboldened to speak up because we need help. People are losing their minds.
I always say the silent majority needs to start speaking. Yeah. Because I think there are a lot more of us than it seems.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So,
I think so too.
Everyone being isolated, that's not helping either. Everyone's just going even more crazy. There's no social interaction. Like you said, the younger people that are acting like this, they're not used to having debates or confrontation. They're not used to having their ideas challenged. Yeah. So when their ideas are challenged, they think that they're being attacked. Right. And it's just they're not.
Exactly.
You know, when you're in school and whatnot, that's where I learned kind of like debating or seeing other people's ideas is in school, being exposed to other people. That's
we
how
had
you
debate
learn.
Class. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you learn from other people. It's just like you can be offended. That doesn't mean you're right. Yeah. It's just like you're just not used to it. Exactly. You need to do it more. But it's just like, no, I'm right. You're just racist. And that's the answer now. It's just like, no, you're not right. You know what? You're just transphobic. And people just throw that there and then there's no argument behind it. Right. And it's weird. And the people that push that shit are actually becoming it themselves. I've never seen so many racist people and people who said they're pointing transphobe, but then they're being transphobic themselves. It's just it's odd. It's like we're in a fucking Twilight Zone. But yeah,
like Chelsea Handler when she was yelling at 50 Cent for voting for Trump or whatever.
Oh my god, that shit.
So racist. And that should remind him.
And I was like, this shit is racist. No one's saying anything.
I had to remind him that he was the black man, ma'am.
Did you know why they couldn't say anything? Because it's just like, oh, well, Chelsea Handler fuck black people, so maybe she might fuck me. She got money.
That's what I
don't know.
I don't think that's even close. That's not.
Listen.
What's in your mind right now? What's going on?
Because she's a black man, she gets a pass.
That's yes.
I guess so.
She was with 50 cents. So. The man got shot 9 times and lived. She gets the biggest.
You got more credibility with each bullet. All right, carry on. What's going on?
You got more credit. You got more credit. That's funny.
We're just being brainwashed, honestly, was what's going on. Because right now, this is a whole term where it's white people telling other white people, you're bad, you're racist. And there's black people telling other black people, like, you need to feel oppressed constantly. We're always oppressed. And then you got gay people saying, we're oppressed too, people still hate us. And you got trans people saying people don't like us. So it's like all these people just brainwashing each other. And when people say no, that's not right, It's like, no, you have to be a part of the same machine, because if you're not a part of the same machine, you're the outsider, and we don't like outsiders. We one mind, one voice. When it shouldn't be like that. We're not.
Yep.
Human beings are meant to be individuals.
Yeah, my friend David says it really well. He says the left is obsessed with individuality when it comes to gender, sex, race, sexual orientation, but when they come to individual thought, that's where they lack. Yeah. They all are taught to think exactly the same, and when you don't, you get canceled. Right. And yeah, I think you said it. I think you said that really well.
Diversity of color, not diversity of thought.
Yeah.
Diversity of thought is lacking. Yep.
Right.
I'm afraid of the future. I don't know what's gonna happen with kids, because right now the young generation is just they're being brainwashed. Like, it's Black History Month. Why do I always have to hear about slavery? I'm tired of hearing about this shit. That's not all Black History Month.
I feel like they're angry off of an oppression they never felt. I know
it's like
fucked up to say it, but
it's just always the same shit. I'm so tired of it. Like, oh, remember all the bad stuff. Remember all the bad stuff. I don't want to be angry. Stop fucking trying to make me always be angry. I don't want to be seen as an angry Black person, because that's what you're telling the people. Black people stay angry. Don't get over
it. The same thing with gays. That's how they stay controlling us. Like, all the not-for-profits that are, I'm assuming it's kind of similar for Black people, but for gay not-for-profits, LGBT not-for-profits, the only way they're going to stay, quote, in business, even though it's a not-for-profit, is by convincing people that we're still lacking our rights, that we're still oppressed, right? That's the only way that these people, and these are don't get me wrong, like, it's not for profit, but they're $1 million companies, right? Like, the Human Rights Campaign, Trevor Project, Trevor Project is probably still very needed. It's a suicide prevention hotline. But like, a lot of these companies, in my opinion, aren't really needed anymore. And they're still convincing us that we, that we're oppressed. And I think the first question you asked me to kind of go full circle here, one of the first questions you asked me was like, when did I know it was time to leave and like go to the other side? And it was because of the constant victim narrative. Yeah. No matter which way I looked, whether it was the narrative that women are oppressed all the time, that gays are oppressed all the time, that trans people, that Black people, that any other person that is cis straight white male who's like the worst thing you could be, I can't get behind that energy. I think it's a terrible way to live your life. Feeling like you said, feeling angry all the time, feeling victimized, because I believe in the law of attraction and stuff like that. And I think that when you are putting that out to the universe, it's going to keep coming back. And because your ego feeds it, then you get to say, well, look, all these bad things keep happening to me, so I must be right. And then they keep coming. And instead of taking accountability and empowering yourself, that doesn't mean that people aren't actually oppressed. It just means stop fucking talking about it.
Right. Yeah.
Stop talking about the bad shit. Yeah.
I have a final question or point here, because, because I've definitely noticed how a lot of people are being controlled by, putting people in boxes and then creating really agitating situations. I have a theory, and you can tell me what you think about it. If we talk about identity politics, how Black Americans have always voted the same way for like so long, it's like 90-80% of Black people, I forgot the percentage exactly, votes Democrat, right? Mm-hmm. I believe go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you think that's also because the majority of Black people are in urban areas?
I think it has more to do with that feeding the narrative of you are oppressed, you are a victim.
I agree with you. I'm just playing devil's advocate, because I know people will say that. Well, the majority of people that are Black are in Chicago and New York and LA, and
they're all run by Democrats.
Typically Democratic places.
Yeah, and the thing about that is I think more Black people are waking up, right? I think more people are reading, more people are having conversations with people that identify as conservative, and what I suspect is the left knows that, and I think they're trying to do the same thing that they did to Black people, to the LGBT, trying to secure them 100%. As the next line of votes. So you agree?
100%.
Okay.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why we get so much shit for my friend David made a video, I think last year during Pride. Well, it had to be 2 years ago at this point, I guess. 2 summers ago during Pride, and he walked around with a Trump hat, and all the people were, at a gay pride parade, like a rainbow Trump hat, and people were like spitting at him. And his friend Rogan was there with him, and they held up a sign that said, "Stop bullying gay Trump supporters." you know, and people were still bullying him. And it's like, if you just sat and talked to this kid for five fucking minutes,
right?
This kid has no hatred in his heart, none, and neither does Rogan. And Rogan's a straight cis white dude, you know, and he's a sweetheart, no hate in his heart. And I 100% agree with you. I think they're trying to, you know, with the whole Black Lives Matter thing, you know, every election it gets right before every election it gets crazy. Yeah, I think they're trying to secure the gay vote 100%. Which is why I think Trump did a really bad. I don't think he did a terrible job, but I think he could have done much more for to show gay people that he was supporting them. Besides, like the one time he like had the flag on stage, whatever.
Yeah.
But he did do a few good things. He appointed Rick Grinnell. He did launch a campaign to decriminalize homosexuality globally. Like he did do things, but like before he was elected, I think he could have done a lot more to show people that he was pro-gay, pro-LGBT.
Right. Okay. That's what I figured, because I was like, no.
Oh yeah, I agree with you.
So many similarities that I'm seeing. Yep. Okay. Cool.
I'll tell you something that you'll probably think is hilarious. Okay. So I have two really good friends of mine, and this just goes to show you don't go by looks, right? They're in a 10-year age gap relationship. They are lesbians. They're two women. 10-year age gap. They've been together for like 4 or 5 years. Interracial. One's black. One's half black, I think. One's half black, half white. One's Italian. And they're dancers. They're burlesque dancers. One's a fine artist. One's a juggler.
Oh, I think I saw your video. You have there on your YouTube channel. Is one of your videos.
And they're conservative Trump supporters.
I saw that video.
Smart.
Oh, okay.
They're brilliant women. Like, and the black one, my friend, both of my friends. I almost said their names. The half black one rather, is, I would say, the one that red pilled me more than anybody else. She made me watch a few documentaries, and I was like, holy shit! Like, we need to like wake the hell up. Oh yeah, this was back in June of last year. So I was already like on the route to becoming red pilled, but then that just made me think a whole different way, like how people are manipulating, like you said, black minds to get everybody in that group to vote a certain way. Same thing they're doing with the LGBT community, you know?
Right.
And she's both. She's black and gay. So it's like, and an artist.
There you go.
So yeah, she's like triple threat.
Huh. Okay. All right.
I completely agree with you.
I have my final question.
Why is he smiling like this?
What's he gonna ask?
Because it's just fun questions. It's just fun questions, you know, lighten the mood. All right.
All right. Here we go.
All right. There's not a single question that would offend me at this point in my life. To be honest,
it's we'll call it Della's end of show. Whatever. Give it a name.
Card.
Somebody.
Wild card. The lightning round. Any friends, people here? You'll have friends. The lightning round. When Ross has the cards.
Yeah.
And they're fighting over the apartment. The lightning round.
Okay.
Go.
Crumble or fold? When you wipe. Crumble or fold?
Oh, when I wipe. I was like, are you asking me like
crumble
a political
or fold?
question? I was like, crumble.
You don't fold it. Stop it.
Standing.
Who the hell folds it?
Standing or lean. Stand or lean. Same thing with wipe.
Standing or like, do I stand up before I wipe?
Yes. Do you stand up? Do you do this? Do you do one of these? Do you stand up?
No, that's weird. No, I sit down and wipe.
Okay.
My ass isn't that big. Like there's like a good section of the toilet, you know, like back behind me that I could fit my arm, you know.
and the final question is, will you be my Valentine?
I absolutely. Please.
Yeah. See,
you can take me out to dinner. We get some gender stereotypes going.
Listen,
the man's got to pay. You know?
We'll do a Zoom
Valentine.
dinner. Yeah.
They're all gonna tell me that I'm a fake lesbian. That's okay.
Yeah.
I know my truth. I know my truth.
I'm so confused. All right.
I just want to make it known. Out of all the questions Della could have possibly asked, he went with those.
I've never asked any of that shit before. That's why he called me on guard.
This is the first.
It's new.
Yeah.
It's new. New year. New shit.
New year.
He's the first man that has asked me to be his Valentine since like 2004. I'll just say that. So that's
he's also the first man to ask you how you wipe as well.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
That he's the first person to ask me how I wipe.
Listen, all I gotta say, you're a psychopath because you crumble and wipe. That's all I'm saying.
Well, you sitting there doing origami and then wiping your ass?
You fold
He's doing,
it.
what are those things called when we were in elementary school? Those things that used to open
Yeah,
up.
the little. No, I crumble.
I hate all you guys.
I gotta
I'm
crumble.
quitting.
Crumble.
I'm
You have
quitting.
to crumble.
Sit there wiping your ass. Get out of here.
I'm gonna make a reaction video on this video and be angry.
I can't. Don't do that.
Oh,
Tag us so we can get the clicks at least. All right.
Yeah.
All right. That's gonna be it for this.
sorry,
We're just gonna
that's
cut it right there.
All right, hey, thank you so much. Oh my god, it's a pleasure. I was like excited to have you on. When I was in a rabbit hole of like your content and everything, I was like, oh, this is dope. We're gonna be speaking with her. And then when you started talking to us, I was like, oh shit, she's talking to us now too. So it's cool.
I love her.
You came on.
I like it because the
I
experience
appreciate
of
it.
making content now, it's like I've been gravitating towards these other content creators, and to me,
We'll find you.
Yeah, and I find you and people that put out content like this to be very strong individuals, because there ain't no way in hell that the average person would be able to go and deal with so much harassment and hate, for just having
You have to have a lot of self-worth.
Yeah.
And actually know who you are. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely been an experience. I think it's been making me stronger, and I appreciate you and I syncing up. This is good. We're gonna do some.
No, 100%. Wait, what's your sign before you go? Like you're like a Sag, maybe?
I'm a Libra.
A Libra. Okay, I could see that.
Wait, what are you?
I'm a Cancer.
I think I
So
knew, like,
I'm
one Cancer.
a cardinal water sign. We're very emotional, but we're sassy and
Okay.
strong.
I
We're
heard
the
that I'm
strongest
like-
of the
I
signs.
heard
Yeah.
I'm on like a cusp because my birthday is March 21st, so it's like in between.
Yeah, that's cuspy.
person.
Yeah. It depends on whatever you're probably a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I had to make a Twitter post.
You're probably more Aries though, because you match well with her Libra. So
Yeah.
I had to make a
Pisces
Twitter
Libra is
post.
kind of Pisces Libra. You both kind of like. Nobody would make a first move, and like
Yeah.
it's two floppy fish, kind of like.
Yeah.
Aries is like more headstrong and like let's go get this shit, and Libra's like, yeah, let's do it. They're just kind of
God,
they're like,
exactly.
yeah, all right, all right, that sounds
That's
good.
why when it comes to food, what you gonna eat?
I don't know. Whatever you want.
Whatever you
That
want. They
makes
can't make a
sense.
decision to save their lives, but yeah,
That's why we're laughing so hard.
it's
Alright.
true.
That's funny.
I had to make a Twitter post about my victory. It's a good day for me.
Victory.
How about
What was
you
your
agreeing to be
victory?
my,
I've
how about
seen
you
her-
Oh,
agreeing
the
to be my
Valentine's.
Valentine's?
What about
Oh,
her
it's
wiping? Is
victory.
that just for the? Okay, did you just?
That's not a
cited-
victory.
Oh, I don't
This
know.
is
To you, it may have. I don't know.
I don't know your activities.
People ask me a lot of questions about my body. I don't think anyone's ever asked me about my butthole. You probably are the first.
Really?
I don't think so. And I have
Being a
OnlyFans
lesbian?
account.
Wait,
No
being
one's
a
asked me
lesbian?
You have an OnlyFans and no one's.
Nobody's asked me. No.
Being a lesbian?
Y'all, thank you so much for watching another episode of Subtweet This. We will be back with another episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, do all those things. Share it with your friends. And I think that's about it. See you in the next one. Bye.
Peace out.
Who should we interview next on Subtweet This? Tell us in the comments below.